Good morning, everybody. You're in for a spirited session, I hope. My name is Manus, Cranny, and these three gentlemen have deployed their own capital, built businesses, and know what it is to deliver, I suppose, top line and bottom line. They're three spirited individuals. They are Andrea Pignataro in the middle. Some call him the Elon Musk of Europe. A bond trader originally, and he now runs the E.ON Group, 13,000 employees. So that's the tech man on the panel. On the end there, we have Maurizio Tamagnini. Think asset management, think family offices, that's his world. And then Sergio Dompé, think pharmaceutical, built in Italy, taken to the United States of America. Why not more in Italy? So buy European, industrial policy, economic sovereignty, and the Draghi blueprint. I'm going to give you some stats. I love a stat. The most valuable company in Europe is ASML, $700 billion. NVIDIA is worth $5.4 trillion. The most cash ever raised in Europe, $9.4 billion by Porsche. SpaceX, I know, $75 billion. I want to be Elon's friend. But what this shows us is gaps. We have gaps in capital. We have gaps perhaps in ambition. We have gaps in delivery. The Draghi report is 400 pages, 176 measures. How do we close the gap? How do you use the Draghi report to help us step change and close the gap? One person who contributed to the Draghi report, Sergio Dompé. Sergio, good morning. What do we need to do in Pharma to close some of these gaps?
That's a big problem because looking at Europe, in the past 15 years, we had a drop of 30% about the market share of our patent filings. China had plus 40% and US plus 6%. So now there is US 34%, China 30%, and Europe is around 20%. Very bad. Why? Because unfortunately, we have a great public drive in China where they decided to be one of the best in new technologies, and they are developing. No discussion, they do it with plans that can take 20 years, but it doesn't matter, they do it. US, you can criticize US as you like, but remains to be the #1 market for innovation in the world. And of course, even for small companies as mine, the last recognition we got for our research is from Food and Drug Administration, not from European authorities. What we have in Europe that they have not, we have a great quality of science, a low cost of the innovation. Scientists here, technicians, everyone has a much, much lower salaries than in the US, and this is a competitive, of course, advantage, but we have to work on that to invest much more. And what they have not at all, we have tens and tens and tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people followed by the healthcare systems for tens and tens of years with data. So data mining here for healthcare with artificial intelligence can be...
Is that our magic release?
Could be if we are able to make it. At the moment, we are not.
Okay, well, let's have a think about how we actually release this. Andrea Pignataro, framed as the Elon Musk. Apparently, he doesn't appear in public very often, so well done, Richard, to the whole team getting him here today. These three boys are spirited, a former bond trader. You built a technology company. You've got offices in my home country in Ireland. From a tech point of view, what are we lacking? What does the Draghi report say that we need to do that we have not managed in the past couple of years?
Well, the Draghi report identify the gap in growth mostly due to productivity gap, and the productivity gap is mostly due to a technology gap. So you can either invent or you can adopt fast. If we go back 70 years ago, in the 50s, Europe was growing at 5% for a decade. That growth was fueled by adoption of management technology learned from the States. So now we have starting a renaissance period. We just need to be very fast in adopting the new technology. It doesn't matter if the technology has been invented elsewhere. It is a huge opportunity for Europe, and in fact, it's easier to adopt new technology if you're mid-size rather than gigantic. So I think that Europe has a competitive advantage in the current structure, and we just need to have policies, fiscal policies, to stimulate the fast adoption, and is easy to implement.
And I think, man, we're going to talk about the funding gap in just a moment, but it's a lot easier to say get 27 nations around a table to agree how to close these gaps. But the money is the key thing. The third guest this morning on the stage is Maurizio Tamagnini. I think 4 billion euros in a growth equity fund for the family. So you're the asset manager on this panel. I know that you want to dig deep into where the capital comes from, but before we do that, what's the biggest obstacle to us achieving anything in the Draghi report? I have not read the 400 pages, full disclosure. I've not read the 400 pages. But in your mind, what do we need to do in that asset management sphere? We're strong in asset management. We're strong in some technology companies. And Pharma, we're some of the biggest in the world in this landmass. From your perspective, what's missing?
Well, the diagnostic is very clear and was stated in the morning prior to our intervention. We just need to mobilize differently the savings that we have in Europe. We are losing out of the continent around 300 billion every year, which is going into either into cash instrument or outside of Italy, mainly to the United States. So we need to really work on that. I was at the European Investment Fund for a dinner 2 nights ago, and somebody was featuring the difference. In the US, people are emptying their pockets to invest in tech. In Europe, sometimes we sort of like find ways to legally not being able to. Here is some ideas for food for thought. We need a 401k type of culture to really capture this kind of savings. And by the way, it's not by accident that the Capital Market Union now has been renamed Savings and Investments Union. So we need to capture something very simply with a, for instance, 401k type, because the 401k type doesn't pay as you go, invest in the companies of the future. That's the key determinant of the difference. Here's another example, for instance. There is now a strong correlation proven in countries such as Sweden or Canada in having the big pension funds having a target of alternative investment, mainly in tech. This is much higher than what we have in continental Europe. They're pushing that towards 50%. In continental Europe, we're down to 5%.
So you're not saying we've got to encourage Nonna to dig deep into her savings in the south of Italy to come and do this. It's the responsibility of sovereign to change the regulation to deliver this capital.
It's responsibility of all the various parties. I mean, the various employees need to think about in a very longeve demography on how they live up to 100 years and have a good support to that. At the same time, we need to mobilize and multiply. Here is how you get to, for instance, 800 billion of the Draghi report. Whatever is done by big platforms, such as the European Investment Fund, is a multiplier of 10. Right now, they invest 2.5 billion. Mm-hmm. If you make it to 25 billion, which is easy, you already get to 1/3 of that, 250. But you need to have large mobilization of our money, which is there. If we didn't have it, it would have been a problem, to actually get to those new companies.
So, Andrea, then, I mean, this came up. Sergio and I did a call before we came up here. it was very much about our private equity, our venture capital, our debt and equity capital markets. You know, the US is alpha and dominant in those at multiples beyond what most people in Europe imagine. How do we scale up our VC, PE, debt and equity markets? Give us your experience.
Europe has been funded mostly by banks. And the issue with financing through banks is that the information remains private. And if you don't have the information, you cannot really develop capital markets, deep capital markets. So I think that as the size of the investment will grow, banks will need to syndicate more and more of their loans to the market, and that syndication will facilitate distribution of information, which will then attract new capital.
So it's not that we lack the capacity, the human capital, or the intellect to do this.
Yeah, it's a market structure issue. It's a market structure issue because obviously you need to educate companies to face investors, which is different than facing a bank or a relationship bank. And you need to have banks that see themselves also as a facilitator, as a matching engine between private capital and institutional capital and the needs of corporations.
Well, therein lies the growth of private credit and that sweet spot between $1 million and $500 million. Sergio, we talk about what was it rebranded? Not savings and investment from its former title, but you talk about a capital markets union. How do we do that? What's the blockage to that?
There is a wonderful document that is the Draghi report, made close to 2 years ago now, and the level of implementation of that document is 10%. I think that most of answers are in that document, but there is always a very poor ability to implement. And in the life, most of the companies have two real problems: liquidity and the implementation. Liquidity and implementation. Strategy is difficult, that you are completely wrong. So this is the problem of Europe. We would need a real one single market, even for drugs. Apparently there is, but in reality it's not true, because since the moment you receive by EMA, which takes 100 days more than Food and Drug Administration anyway, is always in the range of the acceptable results. But then you need to negotiate the listing price and the real price with 27 different authorities. It takes close to 2 years. And it doesn't work. You would be free immediately to release the drug, and then they work for reimbursement. And this is only one example. There is not strategy. Why we don't have a unique data system for healthcare all through Europe, using all this incredible mine of data to discover something new? We don't do it.
Andrea, coming in. There's a phrase for that in Irish, by the way. It's called myself. It's called protect yourself, protect your own data, protect your own sovereignty. And it's that mindset. I think it's that mindset that's very different in America. Having lived there for 2 years, it's, hello, my name's Manus, what can we do together? Andrea, what can we do together in Europe that jumps this Rubicon?
Yeah, well, looking at the history, with the digitalization waves, you had the UK, France, Germany, and Italy that independently, over a decade, introduced various fiscal packages to stimulate adoption and investments. And every single package increased GDP and increased the performance. So that in Italy it was called 4.0 or something like that. I don't remember that terminology. But anyway, the policymakers need to realize that speed is a strategic variable. This is not about inventing new technology, it's about fast adoption. So each country can introduce fiscal packages to incentivize fast adoption and reward outcome in productivity. Because Draghi report clearly identify the single most important driver is productivity increase. And you can target that for fiscal policy. And you don't need to agree between countries. Every country can do that.
Well, we didn't get as far as AI. Maybe AI will deliver some of that productivity gap. Sergio, you had a dream. Maurizio, you had a dream, and that dream was a sovereign wealth fund for Europe. Now, all I'd say to you is, even in the depths of a European debt crisis, we struggled for homogeneity. So I want you to fly the kite for a sovereign wealth fund for Europe.
Well, there's already in there. I mean, the European Investment Fund already works like that. We just need to have all the various constituencies, the states, maybe with an automatic allocation, corporates. For instance, one of the big differences is that corporates in other continents are cooperating much more for new startups, all working towards that objective of filling in this. If you take, again, 220 billion times 10 of multiplier, you are 200 billion. Then that you have the 300 billion of savings that go away from Europe, you're already getting closer to the 800 billion. But there is a couple of final...
But should be in the trillions.
Yeah, should be more. But that said, a couple of examples of we can do it, of real...
That's what I want, yes.
We were privileged with ION and FSI and a couple of the main Italian universities, Polytechnic of Milan and Bocconi and others, to launch a deep tech ecosystem in Milan. It's just started, 12 months. It's more than 200 startups, raising philanthropic money from the whole economic society. And they just put out a call for new companies. And more than 1,000 startuppers came and applied from all over the world. So that's an example where if you provide a perspective, if you provide a simple, long-term project, well-financed at market, Europe there is central, is fast, and can get it done today, not tomorrow. So we need to, and I finish, have some of those projects, such as why don't we do a consortium for AI such as CERN? We need that kind of real, tangible project for our youngsters to grab it and to capitalize upon it, because we have the material.
One thing that we need, Andrea, and our clock is ticking down, in your mind, what's the one thing, the message from this stage to that audience that we need for Europe, not just for Italy, briefly?
Celebrate success. Sergio increases EBITDA 10x in the past 5 years. So no, we have plenty of successful people in Europe. We just need to celebrate success, emulate, and learn from each other.
And I will leave you with a humorous note. So the three of them in the green room, and Sergio Dompé says, Manus, I'm living my American dream. The FDA approved my technology, and I'm living that dream. We want to live the dream in Europe. So I'll get you Maloney's telephone number from Richard later on now, and you can have that conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you very much. Fantastico.
Fantastico.
Ottimo.
Grazie mille.
Bravissimo.
Thank you.